Did you know that the part of your brain that helps you to create memories is also the part of your brain that helps you spatially to understand where things are around you and to help you gracefully move through space? In this video, I want to share with you 7 simple but really interesting hacks to help you make your brain function better. There's a lot of things that we can do to literally create stronger and more effective neural connections in our brains so that we can learn faster, we can be more effective, more efficient, and just overall more successful in our lives. So the same way that our muscles have a use it or lose it kind of phenomenon, our brain pretty much functions the same way. And what I mean is that the more that we use our brain and challenge it to learn new skills, the more effective it will be at learning new skills. So that brings me to my sponsor for this video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with over 25,000 different classes on a variety of topics. And what I love about these classes is that they are created by people just like you and me. So they're super accessible, they're super fun, and it's also a wonderful way to learn either something about a job that you're already doing, or to maybe get creative and start learning something that maybe you've always had an interest in and you've just never pursued. So I have a tracking link down in the description below, and the first 500 of my subscribers to click that link will actually get a free 2-month trial. And I can promise you that there is something for everyone on this website. And even if you're not one of the first 500 people who gets that free 2-month trial, it's a very, very affordable service, less than $10 a month if you sign up for the annual membership. And like I said, it's just a wonderful way to not only connect with other people that have similar interests to you, but also to really get an opportunity to maybe learn something that you've always kind of been interested in, or even hone a skill that you're already using for your job. It's definitely great for anyone who owns their own business. Lots of content on there for growing your digital business, creating better graphics, creating even phone apps, and all kinds of wonderful different skills that are really important in our modern age. So every time that we challenge our brain to learn a new skill or learn a new task, we're actually building the strength of our brain and its ability to learn those new tasks. The same way that when we work out our bicep actually gets stronger so that it can handle that task even better the next time it arises. This is one of the reasons that having a consistent practice of any new skill is really, really valuable, because it just kind of tells your brain and tells your body, hey, you need to get more efficient at this task. And every time that you return to that task, your body and your brain will be more efficient at executing that task. This applies if we're talking about sports, yoga, if we're talking about learning mathematical skills, computing skills, and like I said, on Skillshare, you're gonna find courses on all of these different types of topics. And whether you are just trying to delve into something creative, fun, new, and different, or whether you're trying to learn a skill that's gonna help you in your job or in your business, learning for the sake of learning is one of the best things you can do for your brain. The second way to improve your brain's learning capacity is to do things that can help balance the left and right hemispheres of the brain. So you may already know this, but the left hemisphere of the brain controls our right body movements and vice versa. Now, most people are right dominant. We write with our right hand. If we were falling, it would be our right arm or right foot that we kind of instinctively reach out to catch ourselves. So this kind of indicates that a lot of us have left hemisphere overactivity, or maybe the right brain, right hemisphere is a little bit weaker. It doesn't get used as much. So when the right and left hemispheres of the brain are out of balance, or one is just being used more than the other, it can kind of disrupt our ability to make good decisions and can lead to things like hyperactivity and nervousness if you are having right brain weakness. Or if you're having left hemisphere weakness, it can disrupt your ability to hold on to memories and can even disrupt your math, verbal, and learning skills. Everything from our motivation and our self-esteem can also be linked back to these imbalance of the left and right brain. But luckily, there are a lot of things that we can do to help restore some balance between the left and right hemispheres of the brain. So any type of physical movement that involves cross-body movements is going to be really great for kind of sending messages across the corpus callosum between the two hemispheres and kind of strengthening the brain's ability to act with both hemispheres of the brain. We do this a lot in yoga, which is one of the reasons that yoga is a great way to help improve the left and right balance. Listening to music and even creating music has also been shown to help bring balance to the left and right sides, especially because we're using that logic, mathematical side of the left brain and that more emotional, creative, feeling side of the right brain. And the more that we bring these two things together with something like music, we got to really restore that balance between the left and right side. So you can also just bring your awareness to maybe which side of your brain you are using more often. Are you more in the logical, mathematical, systematic side of things, or in the emotional, feeling, intuitive side of things? It's not about one side being better than the other, and actually what they've been able to see through brain imaging is that when both sides are acting in unison and are balanced, that's where you end up with the most successful people. So whether it's yoga, music, even things like socializing with others has also been found to bring balance to the brain. Bringing this balance to the left and right hemispheres is a really fun, simple, and easy way to get more out of your brain. The third way to boost your brain power is to sleep on it. And what I mean is, don't skimp on your sleep, especially the night before a big exam or maybe a big presentation. It's really, really important to get ample amounts of sleep. And once again, neuroscientists have actually used brain imaging to see what is going on in the brain at night while we sleep. And what they've been able to see is that the cells in the brain are really, really active while we sleep. So there's a lot of cells in the brain. We often think about our neurons, but there's also these cells called glia or glial cells. These are the cells that make the myelin sheath. The myelin sheath is what actually helps to conduct the electric signal that helps our neurons to connect with one another. So at night while we're sleeping, these glial cells are regenerating, restoring, and they can actually see that after you've learned a new task and then you sleep on that task, the myelin sheath connecting those neurons is actually thicker, stronger, and more conductive than before that night of really good sleep. So a thicker myelin sheath is associated with things like ability to store memories, ability to learn a new instrument or memorize a piece of music, and it's also associated with decision making. So it kind of comes back to that right brain balance, because good decision making not only means that we have good neural activity, a very conductive myelin sheath, but it also means we have a good balance between that logical side of our brain, the left hemisphere, and the kind of big picture side of our brain, the right hemisphere, and our ability to kind of synthesize both hemispheres of the brain so that we can come up with the best decision or best mode of action that's gonna work for whatever that task is. The fourth way to boost your brain power is to give your thalamus a break. So the thalamus is kind of like the filter of the brain. So all of the incoming information and stimuli kind of gets filtered through the thalamus, and then that function of the brain, or that part of the brain, decides which information gets passed on to the prefrontal cortex, to the cerebral cortex, and other subcortical areas of the brain. Now, in the kind of information over age that we're in, our thalamus is getting overloaded. It's as if your boss was constantly coming to you and every couple of seconds throws another piece of paper on your desk, eventually you're just overloaded. You're not gonna read any of them. And most of those papers maybe just immediately go into the trash bin because you're so overloaded. So unfortunately, that's kind of what's happening for our thalamus. And things like ADHD and hyperactivity, inability to focus on a task, is often associated with an overwhelmed thalamus. So one of the best ways to give your thalamus a break is through meditation. So meditation is basically where we work to kind of tune out a lot of those incoming stimuli, so that not only is our thalamus getting a break from lots of incoming information, but it also gives it a chance to kind of cycle through all of the information that's been sitting there, that stack of papers on your desk, and it also gives the rest of the areas of the brain a chance to kind of work through that information, process it so that it can be open, prepared, and ready to take on new information. Meditation also helps to restore that right and left hemisphere balance, kind of a theme that's going to keep coming up throughout this video. So essentially with meditation, we're working to sharpen our focus and again, kind of reintegrating that idea of use it or lose it. The more that you practice having focus and working to focus your attention on just one thing, such as an object of meditation, or maybe your breath as an object of meditation, you're actually strengthening your brain's ability to focus on tasks. So a lot of us may say like, oh, I just can't focus on things, or oh, I have a hard time getting things done. We all have the same brains, okay? And it's not that some of us are just inherently better at focusing on things than others. It's the same way that an athlete trains to get really strong or get really fast. You can actually train your brain to get better at focusing simply by practicing focusing. Now, we have a lot of guided meditations on this channel to help teach you about meditation or lead you into a guided meditation. You can also visit Wellness Plus podcast to hear some of the different podcasts that we've done on this topic. It can seem a little weird or a little scary. Meditation doesn't have to look like sitting on a pillow in a corner and staring at nothing. It can be something that you do anytime throughout your day, where you just take a moment to pause, and especially when you're feeling really overwhelmed by incoming information, maybe you just pause and for 30 seconds or a minute, just focus on the sensation of your breathing. Or walk outside and bring your focus to a tree, a plant, or a flower, and just really resonate on that feeling of being intently focused and not being distracted by all of those other things that life is throwing at you. Number 5 is to acknowledge that we all have resistance to learning new things. Whether it is a creative endeavor, whether it is starting a business, or really just about anything. The truth is that we all have this kind of internal resistance. We would like to stay comfortable rather than trying something new. We would rather just persist in where we're at than take a chance to maybe fail at something or to not be good at something. It's just the safety of the sameness. And if you can just, number 1, acknowledge that that resistance is there, acknowledge that we all have that resistance and that we all have to push through it, then suddenly you can actually make the decision to, hey, you know what? Whether I fail or not, whether I'm good at this or not, whether I can learn to play the drums or the guitar or whatever it is or not, I'm going to make the attempt to do it. Chances are you'll be really amazed at what you're capable of once you try, but pushing through that resistance is often the hardest step. So I wish I had a simple, easy, always works answer for getting through resistance, but bringing your attention to it and acknowledging it, I think, is a really good first step. tip number 6 is to teach something that you know to another person. And oftentimes when we're inside of our own brains, we can seem kind of boring or dull to our inner critic, because our brain and our inner critic are in there all the time and they already know all the things. But chances are you know things or have skills that other people would love to learn. And that's kind of what Skillshare is all about. So when you make a decision to either create a course on Skillshare, or maybe you are a YouTuber or other kind of content creator, when you share of yourself and teach someone else something, not only is that amazing for our self-esteem and our self-confidence, but it's also really good for our brain. And one of the best ways for us to really learn something is when we try to teach it to another person. So whether that is maybe working with somebody in your class to study together, or maybe tutor someone else that's struggling with something, when you're actually teaching something to someone else, you're really working those right and left hemispheres of the brain. So you're not only learning that skill even better for yourself, encouraging and boosting your own confidence and esteem, and kind of the warm fuzzy feeling you get when you help another person learn something, but again, it's also kind of boosting your own brain power and ability to learn new things. The last tip kind of refers back to that right and left brain balance that's kind of a theme of this video, really. And it's something called Nadi Shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing. So in yoga, there is this concept that the different nostrils are kind of not only a symbol of left and right brain balance, but also a way to access and affect the left and right hemispheres of the brain. So when you do alternate nostril breathing, where you hold one nostril closed and then kind of alternate breathing in and out of each nostril, you're actually able to kind of change your physiological state. So it's typically considered that left nostril breathing is associated with a calming or sedative effect, and right nostril breathing is a little bit more energizing. So when you're stressed out or feeling anxious, or maybe you need to calm down before bed, left nostril breathing can help you in those regards. And when you wake up and you need to energize, you can try right nostril breathing. Similarly, you can use your nostrils as a way of maybe knowing which part of your brain is most active. So if you notice that you're doing a certain task and one of your nostrils becomes clogged, you can only breathe through one side, but actually indicate that you are working the opposite hemisphere of the brain. So we have a lot of yoga teachers that have taught Nadi Shodhana that you can visit to learn how to do this. There's also lots of information online, but this is just kind of a really cool, fun fact about the brain that I think that the more that we start to kind of take advantage of all these weird nuances and maybe hacks of the brain, we can really start to use it for our ultimate benefit and excel and succeed in things that maybe we thought were out of our reach. All right, that completes my video, and I really hope that you found some of these little tips and tricks to be helpful, fun, or at least mildly interesting. I want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video and giving me an opportunity to learn all kinds of different things. I did a course on singing. I'm working on a course about digital marketing right now, and I've actually added a lot of different classes to my lists so that I can keep working on them. This website also allows you to put a due date on your lists, so you can even set really clear goals, like I want to complete this class by this date. There are even these kind of planned learning events that you can join, which gives even more of that community aspect and an opportunity for an even deeper dive into some of these concepts. I love the idea that we can share with one another, and I hope that you will consider joining Skillshare, whether it's to become a teacher, a student, or both. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to let me know your questions, comments, topic requests down in the comments below. I always love hearing from you guys, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.